I don't know much about gambling on a deep level, other than that researchers obviously say kids shouldn't get involved with it on a serious level. And modern Nintendo claims to be a company that's appropriate for kids or focused on the family. So that's the context of my gambling coverage. We'll eventually see that the gambling aspect of their business never went away, but the organized crime, Bakudo, Yakuza, side of the issue, which overlaps with the gambling conversation, is what's really interesting and more important. As we'll see in future videos, they were associated with the underworld through more than just gambling. So the information I'm going to present in this video is really just the general perspective accepted across the researched Nintendo history literature. I don't know of any Nintendo historian or investigator, serious or otherwise, who denies these basic starting facts after actually researching the subject. However, I'll up the stakes in the next video, and 2 videos after that, where I'm going to try and show that the evidence points to something more than what the current consensus just accepts casually. But in this video, we're going to look at just the undeniable mainstream view. Nintendo started as a Hanafuda playing card maker in Kyoto. Hanafuda, historically, had a serious gambling reputation and was often linked to organized crime. According to experts, the gambling economy surrounding Hanafuda overlapped with and fed into Japan's broader nightlife gray economy. The Mizu Shobai, world of bars, nightclubs, restaurants, sex industry businesses, gambling dens, entertainment districts, and protection rackets where Yakuza influence was historically strong. Former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé writes, Nintendo's founder, Fusajiro Yamauchi, created Hanafuda flower card decks to circumvent a ban on gambling. Guardian video game reporter Keza McDonald writes, playing cards had been more or less banned throughout the Edo period from 1603 to 1868, but authorities in the following Meiji period had softened toward them, which allowed Yamauchi's business to take off. Yamauchi was not merely an artist. He was an astute industrialist who recognized that the forbidden nature of the cards ensured a dedicated clientele. The Bakudo, itinerant gamblers, who were the forefathers of the modern Yakuza. In his best-selling book, Console Wars, writer and producer Blake J. Harris reports, the history of Japan's relationship with playing cards is as noble as it is bizarre. It began in the late 16th century, when visiting Portuguese sailors first introduced card games. This popular Western pastime quickly spread throughout Japan. At the same time as this frenzy was overtaking the nation, Japan's military commanders were growing increasingly incensed by the rapid influx of European missionaries. To ward off this flood of Christianity, the Japanese government issued a series of edicts that effectively closed the country's borders and banned many Western items, including clocks, eyeglasses, and of course, playing cards. As a means to circumvent the ban on cards, the Japanese obediently stopped producing Western cards with 4 suits and 12 numbers, and instead constructed cards with the seasons, also 4, and months of the years, also 12. These new playing cards, which also featured altered illustrations and were intended for games with modified rules, became known as Hanafuda cards and lent themselves to more complex games like bridge and mahjong. Mahjong? Eventually, the government caught on and banned these as well, but even that wasn't enough to deter the popularity of Hanafuda cards, which survived into the 19th century by being played behind closed doors. That all changed in 1885, when a more open-minded Japanese government withdrew several restrictions that had been imposed on gambling and the manufacturing of Hanafuda cards. For the first time in centuries, people who had been playing this game illegally, like 26-year-old Fusajiro Yamauchi, were finally able to do so out in the open. This led Yamauchi to spend more time playing the game, which led to a series of entrepreneurial ideas and eventually to the opening of that fateful Nintendo shop on September 23, 1889. There, in the heart of Kyoto, he and a small team of employees crafted paper from the bark of mulberry trees, mixed these thin slits with soft clay, and then added the Hanafuda card designs with inks made from berries and flower petals. Nintendo's cards, particularly a series called Daitoro, which featured an outline of Napoleon Bonaparte on the package, became the most successful in all of Kyoto. The fate of Nintendo looked very promising until future success was threatened by that of the past. Because those early years had gone so well, all the region's households seemed to already have a deck of Hanafuda cards, and demand came to a halt. To overcome this issue, he set his sights on the one place where the demand never diminished: casinos. In the smoky dens of Japan's gambling parlors, the highest stakes tables would open a new pack of cards for each game. Yamauchi recognized the incredible potential and signed contracts with nearly 70 gambling parlors. With each one going through hundreds of packs every week, Nintendo's profits soared. And many sources document that Nintendo decks grew popular in Yakuza gambling parlors, from Chris Kohler to David Sheff to Kurt Kolstad. The Yakuza often used Hanafuda in illicit gambling halls. Rhetoric and game studies scholar Jennifer De Winter writes, Nintendo, like its competitors, already had close ties to older entertainment and gambling media. Nintendo, which literally means place where luck is in the hands of heaven, started as Yamauchi Nintendo Playing Cards, the Kyoto-based Hanafuda playing card manufacturer. While its work in playing cards, both Japanese Hanafuda and Western-style decks called Torampu, Trump, was lucrative for the company because of Yakuza-based high-stakes gambling, Hiroshi Yamauchi saw an opportunity to expand into computer games by becoming the distributor of the Magnavox Odyssey game system in Japan in 1974. David Sheff's articles have appeared in Playboy, Rolling Stone, The Observer, and Foreign Literature, among other publications, and on National Public Radio's All Things Considered. His book, The Playboy Interviews with John Lennon and Yoko Ono, was a literary guild selection. For his book on Nintendo, Game Over, Sheff extensively interviewed numerous established figures in the industry, such as Howard Lincoln, Nolan Bushnell, Shigeru Miyamoto, Alexei Pajitnov, and others, including people who spoke anonymously. It was a custom to use a fresh deck each game to prevent cheating. Sheff notes that, quote, business increased for Nintendo when the flower cards began to be used for gambling. In the absence of horse or dog racing or sports pools, the Yakuza, Japan's equivalent of the Mafia, operated high-stakes games of Hanafuda in casino-like parlors. Nintendo profited handsomely, since professional players would begin each new game with a fresh deck, discarding the old one. To keep up with the demand, Fusajiro Yamauchi trained apprentices to mass-produce the cards. As noted by Harris and Sheff, Nintendo's early business model heavily relied on high turnover. Even Nintendo Life notes that these parlors would open a new pack for every single game that took place. As Kyoto's biggest manufacturer, Nintendo's business subsequently skyrocketed as demand for packs increased. And the New Yorker describes Yakuza-run high-stakes Hanafuda games and how demand for fresh decks boosted sales for Nintendo. Kotaku reports that the founder saw the demand and filled it, describing the area as, quote, teeming with bakudo and racketeers. So everyone really agrees on these basic facts. Some people try to soften them and say that the criminals were just their customers, as if that's okay. But I'm going to show in the next 3 videos that there's a lot of evidence people don't often hear about that shows that the connection is far stronger than just simple innocent customers.